Adam Symensky joins me now from the EIA. We're delighted you've taken the time to join us. You've also been just moderating a big session on looking at short, medium, long-term demand. What was the feeling from the people here at this symposium?
Well, the panel that I moderated was industry representatives, and they were looking at this. Mainly we were concentrating on the short term, and there seemed to be a consensus on the panel that the markets are in the process of rebalancing, oil markets, and that sometime later this year or into 2017 we're likely to see a little bit of lift in oil prices.
And again, that's probably what's keeping everybody awake at night, particularly the industry, as you say. These are the people that actually are out there doing business, and I'm sure, as everybody is concerned about it. But interestingly, too, how we see much more representation from the industry at this symposium. Do you also think it's very important that they are brought to the table and be part of the discussion?
I think it's always useful to have government and industry thinking about issues together to explore the various angles on things, and that simply having one side in a discussion isn't really all that useful. So I think that the comparison of outlooks that the IEF has been working on is with OPEC and the International Energy Agency is also a very useful exercise. We try to do that a little bit at the Energy Information Administration, looking at what the assumptions are that drive these forecasts.
And of course, while everybody is looking at the IEA and OPEC projections as well, they're also taking a look at what's going on in the United States, at your agency as well. Again, very important, the monthly reports that you're doing. And really, this is a global market, so everybody has to really watch what everyone else is doing. Would you agree?
Well, I think that is the case. The U.S. is still the world's largest oil consumer, and has an increasing role as an oil producer because of the shale oil. So looking at what the factors are in the United States is pretty important to a global outlook.
Now, some of the non-conventional oil has come off the market, but it's been very, very resilient. We've seen tremendous efficiencies, I think, from some of the smaller American companies too that have actually held in there. Not a great story all around. It's not very equal, but there's still some good production, and we're seeing more innovation in technology as well coming from some of the smaller players.
The EIA's forecast for U.S. crude production is it'll probably be down roughly 500,000 barrels a day or so this year. A lot of that is being driven by the decline in shale production. What's happening in the shales, though, that slowed the decline that people might have been thinking about a year ago, is the companies are using their best crews on their best rigs, on their best properties with the best technology, and they've managed to continue to produce more oil because of that concentration of effort.
And again, coming back to the report here and that comparison of reports, how do you find that of interest to you in terms of, looking over the years, as you've probably seen the divide that was there many, many years ago? Are you seeing more of a convergence coming now in terms of what we're hearing from OPEC and from the IEA?
Yeah, I think the idea is really not to get convergence, but to think harder about what the assumptions are that go into the forecast. EIA is trying to do something similar in North America with Mexico and Canada. We are looking at the government forecasts from these three countries and trying to get at the underlying differences to see if it wouldn't help explain some of the things that you see in the models.
Because ultimately, I guess it is that information is power, and everybody who needs it. The analysts need it, the agencies need it, the policymakers need it. And would you say that all of these reports, the ones that you do from the US, and these are of great use to a very wide group of people?
Yeah, I think it is. It's good for policymakers. It's good for the public. The companies themselves use these things. And what we've tried to say at the Energy Information Administration is that transparency in data and analysis is good for the markets because it helps reduce volatility if people know what's going on.